Okay, well, incredible, fantastic. Today, this is one of those interviews where I'm just thrilled that we were able to coordinate it because of various things. But we're here. It's going to be a great one. And today we have a gentleman that really was a child actor and on a major show. He played Mark Hogan. He was on Valerie's Family, and then that segued into the Hogan Family, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with as well. So anyway, I want to welcome Jeremy Licht. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing great, John. I'm just glad this all worked out.
Me too. So right away, why don't you tell me, what do you remember about your first audition for well, at that time, Valerie's Family, I guess.
So it started out as Valerie, right? Our show went through four different name changes,
Yeah.
which may be a record. I don't know. I'm sure your fans listening will know better than I do. But
Oh, I guarantee
um,
you.
so the pilot that I auditioned for was a show called Valerie, and all that I knew going in, because you don't know, I don't know about now, but certainly then it was like, oh, you're going out for a pilot. If it makes it to series, that'd be a miracle. Your odds are so low of that happening.
Yeah.
So go out for this audition. So I auditioned for the role of Mark, which was the role I ended up getting. And it was just one audition. It was pretty basic. I don't remember exactly who was in the room. But again, you're talking about the early days, not even the early days, but the early audition process, right? Where there's a
Yeah.
lot of vetting that goes on.
Right.
So I did that. And then either the second or third audition, I don't remember which, I ended up getting paired up with this other kid he was auditioning for my brother, Willie. And we got paired up. And all I can remember is, okay, he's really funny, but he's Latin. And I'm not. Not that it's a racist thing, but they're
No,
casting
right.
twins. And so maybe they don't know what they want, right? And that happens all the time
Oh
where
yeah,
they
definitely.
just don't know what they want. And I'm getting along great with him, but sort of like, okay, we're cast as twins. I'm the straight guy, he's the funny guy, and great. When we owned that and we went in, and again, I can't remember whether it was the second or third audition, but they really had us not only read a scene together, but then play off of each other. And we had really good chemistry.
Wow.
And by the fourth audition or the fifth, and it took many to work our way up, originally through the production company and then through the producers and the writer and the creator. At no point were we paired up ever with any other actors except for Valerie Harper, who was in the room because this was her show. She
Yeah.
was executive producing it along with her husband. And so myself and this other kid that I thought, oh, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, is Danny Ponce.
Oh
And
wow.
I will never forget. And by the way, who is still one of my closest friends to this day. And we
Oh,
still
that
joke about this. Like, I mean, I could send you a more recent picture of the two of us from a few weeks ago. We had lunch.
yeah.
Um, and we still look like, I don't know how they're cast as brothers, but okay, we'll believe it.
Wow.
Well, people
Wow.
bought it for.
He's a good actor. Yeah.
He's a great actor, and
Really. Yeah.
he's a great actor, and he's a great guy, and we've been very good friends. Our families are friends. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
So we get paired up together, and we're playing off of each other. And I will never forget, as we moved up the ranks of this audition process, that at one point, and we still talk about this. So this would have been 1985, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And how
And
old are you, roughly?
so I was 14. I was 14 when I booked the pilot.
Okay.
He was a little less than 2 years younger than me in real life.
Gotcha.
We played twins, but that was that. And Jason Bateman is 2 years older than me. So I was literally in real life chronology right in the middle
Wow.
of the three of
Okay.
us. Although Jason always looked at us as the little brothers that he could finally get a hold of.
Yeah.
So we're sitting at the table, we read our stuff, and there's good laughs, and everybody's doing great. Somebody asks, oh, so Danny brought in, do you remember a boombox, right? This big double tape recorder. This is before the CDs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally. I could totally picture it. Yeah.
With like Run DMC in there. he brought this in and put it on the table, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know what he's doing with this thing, but whatever, go for it, right?
Funny.
I said, so why'd you bring that in? He goes, hold on a second. And he hits play, right? And Run DMC comes out and he starts breakdancing.
Oh God.
And I'm sitting back watching this performance, like, wow, he's really prepared. And did they ask him? They didn't ask me to do anything. Like, I don't know where this is going, but they're all loving it, right? And so it's a good thing.
Wow.
Finishes with his big
so
finish.
Funny.
Applause everywhere. Everybody's loving on this thing. Turns the thing off. And they look at me and they go, what do you do? And I said, well, I don't do that. And that was it. That was all that I said is, I don't do that. And they loved the chemistry between us. And we ended up booking the pilot. Wow. And the pilot, you may know, the pilot is always the first episode that you're sort of presenting the show. Yeah. And a pilot is without dumbing it down, it's really hard to do a good pilot because it's the first time that the audience knows these characters, sees these characters. You want to give the audience enough to get to know them without having it sort of shoved down their throat of, this is what you need to know about each person, right? And there have been some legendary, amazing pilots out there. Our pilot was okay, but it didn't get picked up. So NBC decided, you know what? We're not going to put you on our roster.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
So that's the end of it. But we would never know. So we shot one episode, that pilot episode. We all gave hugs goodbye. Hopefully I'll see you in the fall, but it was not meant to be.
Well, wait, but Valerie Harper was in that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's Valerie's show. Oh, yeah. The title is Valerie.
What was it like to be around her or work with her?
She was great. Valerie was awesome.
Was she real nice to you guys when you first met her?
Extremely. And I'll explain my sort of take on all the craziness that happened there.
All right, deal.
But we ended up, NBC decided we either don't have room for it, we don't like it, whatever. That's the end of it. And that happens all the time. Most pilots don't get picked up. It's just the way. So 6 months later, 5 months later, I get a call from my mom. I was at a friend's house. And guess what? NBC called. One of their shows that was on the air is they're getting rid of, and they're buying 6 episodes. You're going back to the studio, and you guys are going to film 6. And I was thrilled. It was amazing. Like, I had to see these people because we thought that was it. So we go back with Valerie, and it's Valerie, myself, Danny Ponce, Willie, I was telling you about, Jason Bateman, who eventually will make a big name for himself and other things, and Josh Taylor, who played our dad, the airline pilot, who was shuffling between our show and Days of Our Lives pretty much the whole time, and is still on Days of Our Lives, which is
that's amazing.
Remarkable, right?
Really? That's unreal.
So we go back, we shoot at 6 episodes. We're done, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. It's always a waiting game. And then NBC said, yeah, you know what? Why don't you guys come back and you can do another 13 for season 2? And we're like, okay, great.
Gosh.
All shows got, at the time, it was a full season was 22. We never got 22. They gave us 13, and then we'll see if we really like what you're doing, and then we'll give you 9 more. So it was always this waiting game. We ended up doing 110 episodes, but it was never sure. It was never one of those things where like, oh, this is a lock. Never. We never felt that security. What we did feel was that we really had a good time. We really liked each other. And it was a fun place to be. So we end up doing a couple episodes. We end up doing a couple seasons worth. And then we get picked up for season 3, and we go to do the opening credits. So before we would shoot the season, they would have us come out, and in ours, it was like, oh, we want you to go to a park and pretend it's a picnic, and you're going to throw a ball and kick a football, and it's just this wholesome family stuff. And we're going to shoot it for a day, and then we're going to put it together, and we're going to put it to music, and that's going to be the opening credits for your next season. And we did this every season because we got older, right? You can't
Right.
just have it stale and old. So when we were getting ready to do our credits, for season 3, Valerie wasn't there.
Before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to That's Classic if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is being released. Okay, let's go on with the interview.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, what's going on? Now, again, this is pre-internet, right?
Yeah.
So news doesn't travel fast. There's no instant TMZ. There's none of that.
But
It's
nobody
really
even calls you. You know what I mean? Like, nobody even tells you anything. That's crazy.
Nobody calls and tells anything, right? Like,
Wow.
just kind of the up in the air. So we shot some of it. We shot our credits, right? Just kind of without her. And then ended up going to work a few days later, and only to find out that she is negotiating. Really?
Wow.
Oh, okay. All right. So she's negotiating. Okay. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to. I'm trying to remember the exact. I should have this down by now. But the exact turn of events. It's actually on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
And pretty accurately, if you look up our TV show.
Yeah.
But basically, she didn't show up, and then she did show up. Right. So I'm trying to remember exactly the chain of events. We ended up shooting an episode without her, saying that she had gone off, like she's out of town, right?
Wow.
There's no death or anything like
Yeah.
that. She's out of town. And so it was just like us guys, and I think Edie McClurg, who played Mrs. Poole,
Oh, yeah.
was
she's
there
really funny.
too.
Yeah.
But it was just a flippant mention. It wasn't a big thing. And it went very smoothly. Very easy. Now, let me step back real quickly to your original question about working with her.
Yeah.
I loved working with her. Valerie was a professional. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
She knew what she wanted. She was very motherly. She liked working the material. Everybody has a different acting style, right?
Of course.
Some people
Yeah.
like to work the material and rehearse it and rehearse. Other people are a little more loosey-goosey with it. I'm kind of fine with whatever. As you get older, you find what's comfortable for you. But
Yeah,
for
totally.
me, I will always show up on set knowing my stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens from there, you see who you're working with.
Right.
Like any type of office environment, everybody works differently. You just try not to have too many conflicts with other people.
Yeah.
Right. So the set is great. Really enjoy working with her. She's not there. We shoot the episode. It goes very well. And then the next week, she comes back. Valerie's back. Okay. We're going to reshoot that episode with her.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And I think a second episode. Okay. It was all kind of discombobulated. So
Yeah.
we go back, we shoot it with her. That goes well as well. And we shoot this other episode. And then the following week, and again, my chronology might be off because we're going back a few years. I find out from a call from my grandmother who saw on Entertainment Tonight that Valerie Harper has been fired from her show.
Oh, my gosh.
From my grandmother and Entertainment Tonight.
Wow.
Again, I went, oh, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we're due. That is when your name is Valerie and Valerie gets fired.
It's kind of, yeah.
But I would use more colorful language, but I would just say you got trouble.
Exactly.
And that's what we figured. So I can't remember if we shut down for a week or whatever it was, but then we're coming back.
Oh, wow.
Coming back. We're going to shoot this third episode. And I can't remember whether it was the third episode or the fourth episode, because they had to retool the whole thing.
Literally.
We thought we were done. There was a big meeting on the set. You're not done. We're going to work through this. We're going to figure it out behind the scenes. And I will tell you that up until her not showing up for the credits, I'll say at least myself and Danny, I don't know, I can't speak to Jason or Josh or anybody else.
Yeah.
Had no idea. It's not like there were fits on the set. There was no drama. This was all behind the scenes I don't want to even say shenanigans because it wasn't, but behind the scenes drama that was going on between lawyers and actors and agents and managers and probably a lot of lawyers.
Yeah, yeah.
But it never showed up on set. And even when Valerie came back, it never showed up on set. It was never a contentious set.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned and what I see.
Yeah.
So then we find out bringing in a new woman. Oh, you're going to replace Valerie? No. We're bringing in an aunt who has never been mentioned before. Okay, cool, great. Like at this point, we're just happy to have work. Like,
well, yeah, exactly. It's amazing that you have work.
We've all worked really well together. We've done 2 seasons worth of work. Like we know how we work. We work well. There's no ego. It's great. We love our jobs. And by anybody's standards, except maybe friends that came along later, we were making really good money. So we were stoked to still be working.
Of course.
But then you're going to be working with Sandy Duncan. Sandy Duncan. Okay, I saw her a few years ago in Peter Pan at the Pantages.
Right.
She's going to play our aunt? Yeah.
Wow.
She's nice. We'll find out.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So Sandy comes in on a Monday morning. Monday morning, we basically started work. We got the script over the weekend, the prior weekend.
Yeah.
We come in Monday morning having read the script, but not really worked on it, but just read it through. I mean, you're talking about a half-hour sitcom, 30 pages,
totally.
right? We read it and then work the material all week and shoot it Friday night. We were Monday to Friday. Okay?
Yeah, Friday's
Monday,
tape night. Yeah.
Come in and we all sit in this big, long conference room. At the time, it was Lorimar. Now it's at Sony. It's now Sony Studios in called beautiful Culver City.
Yeah.
And we sit down there and she introduces herself, super warm, bubbly, exactly as you'd expect Sandy.
Oh,
Sandy.
that's wild.
Fantastic. And she sits down and we all read the script that now includes her. She came in because mom died.
Oh, wow. They actually, I didn't even realize that they had said that. Oh, wow.
It was something to the effect of, it's been 3 months since mom died, and thank God Aunt Sandy came to stay with us. It was like, oh, they're doing this. This is for real. Like, there's no going backsies, as my kids would say. There's no backsies.
Right.
Her.
And we're talking about a sitcom, by the way, too. That's the irony.
I don't know what the hilarity of the situation is.
Right, exactly. Mom died. Let's make some jokes.
Yeah. But that was it.
Wow.
It's like 3 months, 6 months since mom died. It wasn't even my line, but thank God Aunt Sandy's here. And in is Sandy. And we did another episode after that where we burned our house down. And there was a very touching scene where Jason saw a picture. You didn't see the picture. And it was Valerie in the picture. And it was very heartwarming, and Sandy comes in for a hug. It was beautiful. It was really very well done. But other than that, never mentioned again.
Oh, is that wild?
That was it.
TV, yeah.
So to give you an idea of Sandy Duncan.
Yeah.
Not the character, but the person.
Yeah.
So we all, at that time, I had turned 16 or 17. I had a car, and we all got to park right next to the soundstage. And we all had sort of assigned parking right next to the stage.
Yeah.
Which was great. So I can't remember, it was the first day, I can't remember if it was in that room or not, but we ended up going back to the set and we're all sitting down. No, we were at that reading. And Sandy says, I have a question. Whose parking spot is the one straight when you go down that alley right next to the stage?
Oh my God.
I said, that's my spot. I said, would you mind if I took your spot and traded with you? And I said, no, that's fine. Why? And she said, I have one good eye and terrible depth perception. I said, it's your spot.
Wow.
Everybody laughed. She never took herself seriously.
Oh.
Awesome, incredible lady. Loved working with her too. Very different acting style. A lot just sort of looser with everything. But Sandy came in also saying, I'm not replacing anybody. I auditioned for this.
Wow.
You guys have 2 seasons under your belt. You're clearly doing something right. I'm in for a job, right?
Wow. That's
I
so
wanna-
cool.
Coming in to take over and reinvent a wheel.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, we would have done 10 seasons if they'd have given it to us.
Wow.
It was just a wonderful, great, warm, funny time. It was a really interesting way in the mid to late 80s through the very early 90s
Mhm.
to completely go through my adolescence
Yeah, no
on
kidding.
screen.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I will tell you, having an almost 16-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son now, that I'm grateful that there were no cell phones and cameras everywhere watching your every move and every slip and every mistake.
Did it mess with you at all? Like being that age, having that, having money and you're on a show and you're at like 17. I mean, guys are dating, whatever. What did it mess with you? Did it, the party scene and all that, or were you able to stay on a good road?
I'm very lucky. I have 2 great parents. Thankfully, I still have them. I'm still close with them. They never stole my money. Had a good thing. And I mean, listen, I had a great time. I was never into sort of the Hollywood party scene.
Right.
I had an apartment that I got right after I graduated high school that was closer in West Los Angeles than it was to the home I was living in with my parents in the San Fernando Valley.
Sure.
So, but my roommate and I were the first 2 of our friends to sort of play. So it was kind of a flop pad, a party pad.
Yeah.
Like that. But it was never got into the big drug scene. It's never sort of been, that area has never been my thing.
Yeah.
I definitely had fun. I still do, but it's really was more along the lines of, I also knew, listen, I got to get up. I got a job Monday to Friday. I'm shooting Friday night and I have to be on point and on cue. And which doesn't mean that I didn't have a good time. I had a great time. Right. I would not trade those years for anything. The friendships, I'm still friends with the people that I worked with on that show. I mean,
have you stayed friends with Jason as, all kidding aside, as he's gotten, to the level that he has?
So we all try to get together. So Sandy lives in New York with her family. She moved to New York a long time ago. Jason is still in Los Angeles when he's not working. Danny's in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles. And Josh is in Los Angeles. So we try as a group to get together once or twice a year.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear.
To go grab a meal, hang out, etc. I see Danny more often. He lives nearby and we can go meet out for a meal or whatever. I see them more, but we're always trying to coordinate something. And so, and the great thing about it is we've all known each other for so long that there's no airs. There's no BS.
I love that.
No one's going back. I'm not going to sit here and air somebody else's secrets.
Right.
So there's a trust factor because no, I remember when your mom and dad ... or I remember when this was going on, or, oh my God, that girl that you were dating, or all these things, because yes, we were working together as actors, but we were a family. We spent more time with each other than we did our own families. And and especially for the duration. It's one thing if it's like, oh, we worked together on a movie for a couple months. It's another no, I was there from 14 to 19.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys saw things behind the scenes that maybe my parents didn't see or know, or advice that Jason, by the time we were working together, had been already on a couple of shows.
Oh my gosh. Come on.
Advice as to how to deal with certain things that would come up that my parents might not know.
Yeah.
Right. Or how to, just be aware, let's say, of people around you who may not have your best interest in mind. And don't put yourself, I mean, look, there's so many shows out, right? Of things that went awry back in the day of your
Oh.
favorite shows, right?
Tons. Yeah.
Tragedy and
Right.
terrible things through no fault of the kids.
Yeah. Agreed.
But that possibly could have been avoided if there was more awareness
Oh, big time.
that there can be some people that may not have the kids' best interest in mind.
Got it.
Better term. And Jason said, just be aware. Don't put yourself in a situation. I'll never forget. Don't put yourself in a situation that he or Josh, who had been there and knew of this stuff, and was like, you know, just keep your eyes out and know that, you know, there can be some unscrupulous people out there. At the same time, go have a great time.
Yeah.
Go enjoy yourself. These are the glory days, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, so no, it was, those were some amazing days. No regrets about any of that. Loved working there.
I love hearing about Jason, by the way, like that too. I've done a lot of voiceover when I was more in the heyday, let's say, of it. Amanda, Jason's wife, we were at the same agency. Great woman, love her. I haven't seen her in quite a few years, but I had the opportunity to meet him just a couple times. I was very impressed. He is just, for a guy that has had the level of success he has had, extremely normal.
He is very normal, and I will tell you, he is probably more normal and grounded, I'll say now, in the, you know, than even when we were doing the show.
Sure.
So you got to figure he was, like I said, when we started, he was 16, I was 14, Danny was 12.
Right.
You had 5 years to that.
Yep.
Those are some big ages to be on a hit network TV show.
Yep.
Where there's only 4 stations.
You got it. I hear you.
So, you know, was there stuff that went on? Yeah, but was it tragic? No. Like normal sort of shenanigan BS.
Oh, of course. Come
But I
on.
will tell you that when we all sit down to lunch now, all of us having families, kids of our own, Josh being a grandfather, and having lived life, not only lived life, but have gone through enough life. And I don't care how much money you have.
Right.
You go through certain things, whether it is family tragedy or health issues or money or
there is dysfunction in every family.
Everywhere. Every time, like, you know, you see somebody on TV and like, oh my God, that person's got like no problems in the life. I sit there not even knowing them going, you're out of your mind.
I'm with you.
I mean, I don't care who the Bill Gateses and the Elon Musks and all these guys, maybe he's not the best guy to mention, but like, they have real world problems. No, they're not the same problems you and I have, but I guarantee you that there are days they're arguing with their spouse.
Right? Oh, I guarantee you.
Garbage out. Like, there's still always, so sitting and being able to talk to them. And I mean, just talking about family stuff and life stuff. And I will tell you that when we all hang out, the job stuff is probably the 50th thing that we talk about.
I get it. I love it.
You know, the where that comes up is occasionally I'll see Jason or Josh, one of us on a show, or even the guy, Jason had a friend on the show who played the geeky friend Bert. I say he was sort of Urkel before Urkel.
Yeah.
With the pants pulled all the way up. His name is Steve Whitting. Also a great guy and really kind of part of our family. See him, Jason puts him in different things that he's doing.
I'm gonna watch for him now.
You'll see him in parts of different things. And you know, it really is just family and real life.
Yeah.
And about what's going on, and my kid's off to school and empty nest stuff. And so it's I love that it's still real. I think, to be honest with you, if it wasn't still real and it was just, and I say this to Danny when we hang out, like, we almost never talk about back when we worked together.
Right.
There's been a billion years since then. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's how we met and bonded.
Right.
But that's not, tenure does not a relationship make, right? You work on a friendship.
Yeah, and it's not who you are. It's just a part
Correct.
of you. Yeah, yeah, I get it. What about the rest of your cat, well, I would say that the main cast definitely is there, but then you had like John Hillerman,
Yeah.
that was on, I always think of him with Magnum PI. I
course.
can't help it. Yeah.
Or Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What was John like? What was he like?
John was very amusing. John, when I first met him, I thought he was British.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he's from Texas.
Oh, I did not know that. That's funny.
Peace, right? He passed away a few years ago, but
yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was British, kind of very proper Brit. And John was just very proper. So Danny, being who Danny was, did everything in his power to noodle him and get under his skin. Danny was one of the few people that could really make him laugh.
Oh,
funny. He was a tough audience. Wasn't a tough guy. He was
no,
great.
I can't see it.
Listen, he's another guy. Here's a guy that comes in, I don't know, our very last season.
I think it was.
When they're running out of story ideas, they're like, we're bringing in a kid or a grandpa.
Right.
So, thankfully, it wasn't a baby, but he was great. Comes in as the grandpa and comes and lives with us. Not sure how it works. That's how it worked.
Right.
And John was great. John was very funny, very proper, knew his stuff, but quiet. He was a quiet guy. He had somebody that was helping him on set, like an assistant that was always there taking notes.
Wow.
Get him anything.
Wow.
But great. Like, okay, that's his thing. All right, great. But not so like, oh God, not at all. John was great. There really wasn't anyone that I can think of that we worked with where it was like, oh God, what a prima donna or a
what about Willard Scott?
Oh, Willard. So Willard came in as Mr. Poole, as Edie McClurg's husband.
Right.
But I think we saw him twice. One was when we burnt the house down. I think we went and stayed there, and so he was there. Willard was exactly how you remember him from, it was Today Show. Was it Today Show?
Yeah, it was the Today Show, yeah.
Today Show, okay. And what I can remember with regard to Willard, because wasn't there that much, big guy, big personality, really funny, couldn't remember his lines, so they gave him only a few, but it was funny. Like, he was a funny guy, and so I don't remember the cards, but it was all like, it was all good. Yeah, Willard was funny. It's like, you're bringing him in? Like, all of a sudden they're pulling people in.
Oh, is that funny?
Crazy places.
Did you do any pranks? I mean, you got a bunch of young guys. Did you guys do pranks?
Oh yes. So I remember the one prank that was done to me. So there was an episode that we did where my character gets moved up from middle school up to high school. So he ends up, my nerdy character ends up at Jason's character's high school. And he's not happy about his brainiac little brother at his high school.
Right.
Okay, so that's the stage that's being set. Of course, at that high school, there's a big bad bully, because what 80s show wouldn't love to have a bully? So my character, Mark, okay, so picture this cafeteria. It's cafeteria set. It's the big long lunch benches. My character, first day, Jason's character is kind of ignoring him because he doesn't want his little brother to sit with the cool kids. So he goes, sits by himself. Well, where does he sit? He sits in the bully's seat. So the bully comes over. Hey, you're in my seat. My character says some snarky, shitty comment to him. I didn't know this was your seat. Is your name on it? Something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the bully picks me up by the shirt, and I've got some rig that he can grab. Like,
right. So it looks good, yeah.
Like that, right? So Jason's character comes over. Now we're rehearsing this all week, but of course, like everything else, the guy who plays the bully is the nicest guy in the world, right?
Of course, yeah.
Up by the shirt, and we're rehearsing all week. And rehearsing is like you're in shorts and a t-shirt, or sweats and a t-shirt, or whatever. Like no one's dressed, no one's in makeup. We're rehearsing,
right?
And I'm up like that, and Jason's character comes over and goes, "Hey, let my brother down. You don't need to do that." and he pushes me aside and they get into a thing. Well, one of the times during one of the rehearsals, this guy's got me up like that, and Jason pants me.
Oh,
Drop my drawers. I'm standing, thankfully I was wearing underwear, boxers, or whatever it was, but you can imagine as a teenager, everybody's there. Not the audience wasn't there, but the people were there. I was, of course, mortified because how much does it take to mortify a 16-year-old?
right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I pretty much have one. It takes nothing to embarrass a
Oh,
16.
is that funny?
So, like, but it was that kind of stuff. Just goofy kid stuff.
I love it. How could you not? I mean, seriously, how could you not?
I probably would have done the same if I had that
Oh,
opportunity.
of course.
You know?
And then you mentioned Edie McClurg
Yeah.
earlier, and the woman's done a lot, and she's
Yes.
so funny. But I always remember her from like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's just
I've seen
iconic.
that
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
she was the 80s Midwest housewife.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if there was a picture, right, in the dictionary, Edie was the picture.
She was
So
it.
Edie came from a very formalized training as an actress.
You know that.
Edie was amazing, but like Groundlings and comedy sports games and improv and all that. So Edie loved to really kind of work on it and got it perfect.
Mhm.
Edie was one of those people. She was a perfectionist. She knew the way that she did it on Monday was the way it was going to be shot on Friday.
Wow.
Edie came in knowing her stuff. She had worked with the best. She had worked with all, she knew a lot of the SNL, the original SNL, because they all kind of came up. Either some people came up, if you look back on the history of those 70s type of comedians,
Yeah.
they either came up like through the SNL, right? That Second City
right.
kind of stuff, or in Chicago. She came up through Chicago, went to college there, knew some of the National Lampoon people, like.
Oh, wow. I did not
So
realize how deep
if
it
you
went.
look her up,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that she worked as much as she did.
Yeah.
And obviously that accent was a full put on.
Oh, it was the best.
But she was amazing. She was amazing. She was but she knew her stuff. And she knew your stuff. Like, she knew where your line was going to be and what it was going to be, because this is how she learned, is you hit your mark, and sort
She
of
was
also in
professional.
theater. And
Oh, yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say, what about Josie Bissett? You remember Josie?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love working
Yeah.
with Josie. So Josie and they paired us up as a couple, right? That we met each other. It was around the time we want to give Mark and Willie girlfriends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark was going to meet this sweet, blonde, beautiful woman, and I was going to say Danny. Willie is going to have this beautiful redhead. Who, by the way, I'm still friends. Her name's Angela Lee, and Angela's still a good friend. Our daughters have grown up together.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, yes. Josie moved away. I haven't seen her in a billion years, but the coolest thing about working with Josie was that she was not only great at what she did, but we were able to sit and talk about this. And I never had a crush on her.
Interesting.
She never had a crush on me, despite her being absolutely beautiful.
Oh, she's so beautiful. Yeah.
Stunning, right? And we talked about this and said, look, we have to make this relationship so disgustingly sicky sweet that everyone's going to cringe. Let's just make them fawn all over each other. They're that couple that you really hope has an explosive breakup because this all seems put on. And we just went with that. And then they wrote that. So
That's
it was
cool.
always this just so unbridled love, which played great contrary to Willie and what was her name? Brenda, the characters.
Yeah.
Kind of tough, rough and tumble kind of relationship, kind of a thing. So it was great. We had a great
cool.
time.
You worked it out like that. I love it.
We talked about it, but it was one of you also don't know at that age, like, okay, so we're kissing here and we're teens.
Right.
And, there's, nowadays on sets, there's a professional coordinator.
Exactly.
Okay. There wasn't then.
Right.
And not that we would have taken advantage or anybody would have taken advantage.
No, I get it.
Things happen. Listen, in acting classes, things happen.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of upfront about like, look, we gotta sell this hard, like really sell it great. And I think we did. I mean, I remember like having a girlfriend outside of the show and having her meet Josie, like, we're friends, we're putting this on.
Right.
So, listen, like I said, 16, 17, I'm profoundly insecure about everything.
Oh my gosh.
No, we're friends who are doing this, but it's all good. Like, we don't hang out, like, which made it great.
Did you know she goes on, obviously she does Melrose Place. She becomes like huge. Did you stay friends with her at that time?
We've lost touch. I mean, I always have liked her and admired her and watched her, but we're not in touch anymore. And that's not as a result of falling out. It's just, I just think time. I
totally get it.
If I went out and saw her today, it would be.
Oh, I'm sure.
Catch up with her. It's all good.
And then the other big one that I noticed was Twilight Zone, the movie. And, obviously that movie is, everybody thinks about what happened to Vic Morrow and the twins and that. But I did a little research. It sounds like your portion was directed by Joe Dante. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you not, am I correct? You weren't around any of that other stuff?
I wasn't even hired yet.
Right.
No. Okay. They really shot that movie as 4 separate movies, about a half hour each. And yet it took us 3 months of principal photography for that half hour. And then they did 3 months of effects after.
Oh my gosh.
And again, you're talking, so Twilight Zone predates the pilot for Valerie by about a year.
Wow.
And so I had gone on a few auditions for Twilight Zone. I had met Joe Dante, and then the accident happened. And like I said, we weren't even hired because they were doing that episode first.
Right.
And so we thought, like everybody else, well, that's the end of the movie. And the tragedy all the way around it. Well, 9-10 months later, I get a call from my agent that says they want to see you for a callback.
Wow.
Really? Okay, great. Again, I'm auditioning for a part. It's another job interview, right?
Right.
And went in, and I go in the door, and there's Joe Dante, and there's Steven Spielberg.
Oh, no way. Spielberg was there?
Coming off of E.T.
Oh, come on. What did that feel like? Do you remember that? Do you remember thinking, oh my God, that's Steven Spielberg?
So at the time I was 12. Yeah. And I had done a lot of TV work with some really, really amazing people. Yeah. But being 12, I didn't necessarily know their body of work. I know people's bodies of work and go, God, that guy played my dad. Like, it's that kind of stuff. But I didn't realize it back then because I was a kid playing soccer and going to school. And
did you know it was Steven Spielberg, or was it like, oh, hi, Jeremy, I'm Steven Spielberg?
The answer to that is, I knew that.
Okay.
I mean, I had seen E.T. 100 times and knew his body of work. I think I was too young to see like Close Encounters. Yeah. Raiders was right around there. Yeah. Forgive me, I'm not.
Googling. Yeah, I know. I don't know the exact.
Raiders was right around there. I think Raiders might have been after, but yes, if you were in the 80s, you knew Steven Spielberg. Yeah. Even just by name, because all his movies, the kids were the protagonists. Yeah. I mean, it was one of the first times in history where it was about the kids and overcoming dumb adults. Right. I mean, that was the basis of all of it.
So what was that like being in the room with him? And by the way, for my audience, Joe Dante, Gremlins, The Howling. I mean, also major.
Inner Cities. Google him. Yeah. I'll tell you a great Joe story after this story.
Okay.
Because I literally just saw him.
Okay. Very cool.
So one of the first times in my whole life that I was starstruck was walking in and meeting Steven Spielberg, who said, "Hi, I'm Steven." And I went, "I'm Jeremy." Nice to meet you, sir. Okay.
Oh, is that funny?
I kind of know who you are. I didn't say that, but I know who you are. Your body of work precedes you, it turns out. So auditioned one or two more times, ended up booking the job. It was to date, one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I had, if you watch the episode, you'll see, so first of all, I was the only kid in the episode. And so a lot of the acting and the rehearsal was sort of done around me, where I would be off in school because I had to go to school on set.
Mhm.
But the adults, which included Nancy Cartwright, also known as Bart Simpson,
Right.
you know, Kevin McCarthy, Kathleen Quinlan. I mean, just
Right.
a huge, Shari Curry was in that. I mean, just a huge group of people.
Wow.
I would come back onto set. They've rehearsed. I rehearsed it once or twice with them. And if you watch the episode, it is a whirlwind. It is just this swirling hurricane that's happening all around my character.
Wow.
And so it was really interesting to and this was what Joe had said, you're just calm and cool. You don't engage in any of their stuff. That's their stuff. This is your world. We haven't figured that out yet. Sorry to be a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but you just are cool.
Right.
And it worked. We had a great time doing it. It was, to me, a masterclass watching these incredible actors that were much older than me. I mean, I was like 12, and Nancy was in her 20s, and she would have been Nancy and Kathleen, right, probably around the same age.
Kathleen Quinlan did Apollo 13. I mean,
oh yeah, she was incredible. The Doors, and I mean, she's
right,
done,
right. The Doors, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was really my foray into this level of, I'll use the word absurdity, and I don't mean that with the script, but just this heightened intensity that we were creating. And yet the set, which was run by Joe Dante as the director, was super cool, was super fun, was super light. So I was asked to be on a podcast about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
By someone I knew who somehow got a hold of Joe Dante.
Wow.
And said, I want to put the two of you together. I said, I haven't seen Joe since we wrapped Twilight Zone. So we're going back 40 years.
That's actually really cool. Yeah.
And we ended up doing this podcast that came out. And I learned so much from him that I had no idea, because again, I was the kid.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just so much, not that it was kept from me as much as he was like, well, the movie was made because Warner Brothers, Universal basically owned Steven, and Warner Brothers had this script, and Steven said he wanted to do it. So they were going to do Twilight Zone pretty much no matter what, which is why it was made. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So all these kind of cool anecdotes about it. Well, the podcast ended. It was great. And I reached out to Joe, and we ended up going to lunch. I said, I haven't seen you in 40 years. Can we go to lunch?
Wow.
And we sat and had lunch and just talked about those days, because there was so much I didn't know, but also just, again, like life and family and friendships, and the body of work that he's done is remarkable. And
has he stayed fairly consistent, like as far as attitude?
In fact, I'll tell you the craziest story. So my wife is an actress. And oh gosh, it had to have been 15 years ago. She books an episode of CSI New York, which shoots out in LA. And in it, she it doesn't really matter, but she basically, Gary Sinise, who is in that, stumbles upon the crime scene, and it's my wife, obviously it's character, and her lover, and they've been killed. And so now Gary Sinise, they got to figure it out. It's basically the same in most episodes. They got to figure out the whodunit.
Right.
Who's directing that episode? So she books the role of dead woman, and who's directing the episode? Joe Dante.
Oh, wow.
I said to my wife, and she's going on to set. I wasn't there, but I said, you have got to tell Joe, because my wife has a stage name, so you never put it together.
Yeah.
I have to tell him that we're married.
Wow.
You also have to realize he hasn't seen me at the time in 30 years.
Right.
My wife goes up to him. So in this episode that she's in, the husband, the bad guy, catches her in bed with her lover, and he's a doctor, and he kills them both with a hypodermic needle. But she's in like, so she's got this needle hanging out of her neck, special effects, right? And she's in like this negligee and all grayed out, right? Dead, grayed out with the guy. And that's how her episode was.
Yeah.
So she walks onto set. She's in this negligee, looking amazing, as always, and is laying in his bed and ends up saying, "Hi," she's I'm Joe. It's nice to meet you. I'm your director. And she goes, "Think you know my husband?" Says, "Who's your husband?" "Jeremy Licht." He takes a look at her and looks her up and down and goes, "But he's 13.
That is funny.
Yeah. So it was one of those life full circle crazy.
That's cool though. I love that. I love that. You have a lot. There's a lot that you have done what, by the way, was it Bill Mumy? Was he's the other one in Bill Schallert, right?
Yeah, so they were both in that episode. Bill Schallert played the character that played my father. So he was in the house, and Bill Mumy was in the opening scene. She pulls up to a diner, and my character Anthony's in the diner playing a video game and hitting the video game, and Bill Mumy and his buddy are watching TV of a boxing match.
Wow.
And the smacking of the TV is causing the TV to glitch. And that was Bill Mumy. So I worked with him for one day.
Was it cool to see him though? Like, just because, he's kind of one of the original.
He was super cool, but I had never seen the original episode. Not purposely.
Wow.
I had just never seen that.
Right. Wow.
But quick LA weird little anecdote is when my son, who is now 11, would have been in preschool, so 8-9 years ago, Bill Mumy's wife was my kid's teacher.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. That's weird.
I only figured that out because of her last name. And I'm like, you wouldn't happen to be related. She goes, "Oh, that's my husband."
Wow.
We kind of played the same character many years apart.
Oh,
Please let him know. Hi. And thank you for doing a great job.
is that
He's a really
wild?
talented musician. I don't know if you
No, he
follow
is.
online.
He's been on my show. He's been
Oh,
on.
he has. Okay.
He is a talented musician. He is.
Yes.
He still plays. He's He's
Right.
played with a lot of, famous people, by the way, as well.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And Bill Schallert, what was your take on Bill Schallert? Because now, granted, you're 12, but I have heard various things, and I'm not insinuating bad. I've just heard that there was a lot more to Bill Schallert than, people see as just like the dad or whatever.
So between him and the woman who played my mother, I remember Kevin McCarthy very well because he was very animated and what an actor. He played the uncle who would grab it out of the hat. I don't remember much about Bill Schallert.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, very professional, great at what he did, played that role. I mean, like a cartoon dad, right?
Yeah,
And
I'm telling you.
But but I don't have much memory of him specifically. But it was just it was just a lot of fun. Listen, I was the only kid on that set.
Yeah.
So, there are also people that just don't like working with kids.
I get it.
Nobody on there was one of them, as far as I
Yeah, I get
but
it.
I also was one of those, to be honest with you, I came in prepared. And I didn't come in like I owned the show. It was
you were just
this
a
work.
job.
This is a job. We're going to work our asses off, and we're going to try to make a great product. And hopefully people will like it. We also knew that, unfortunately, by the time we started, there's a cloud. There's a dark cloud over what had happened on this movie, and a truly unfortunate, horrendous accident that had happened, and that we don't know how this is going to be received. You have a lot of fans that are so true and pure to the original Twilight Zone product, right? To the TV show, and that it should only be in black and white, and it should only be a TV show, and it should not be redone, and all of these feelings about it that you don't know that when you redo, or as they call it today, a reboot, right? Of some sort of original, what that reception is going to be. People may be, I love the original.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen, the flip side of that is, look, I happen to also be involved in on Hogan Family, where we had 4 different names and we fired the main character and a lawsuit. And I have people every day, and I'm sure people who are watching this who are like, I only liked it with Valerie.
Exactly.
Or I only liked it with Sandy. Or it really jumped the shark when did. And I go, okay, I liked them both. But
Right.
you are, as a watcher, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our favorites. Listen, we all watch movies that other people are like, oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever done. And you watch it and you're like, maybe I missed that.
Yeah. I know. I
Wasn't much
definitely
to me.
had that happen.
So, I tell my kids, right? Art is a subjective form,
That's
right?
I
You
have
have
the beholder.
to see whether it's a painting or a movie or TV show or something streaming or fine arts,
Yeah.
sculpture or dance. Some things are going to resonate with you and you're going to feel it. And you may hate it. It's still a feeling. It's okay.
Right.
You can hate it. But as long as you feel something. And like I say, I got people all the time. I stopped watching when Valerie was fired. And I go, okay. I only liked it when Sandy came on. Okay.
I
That's
could
okay.
totally see it. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Are you now you said you've got it, you need to go, right?
I got a
five-
few more minutes. If
you got a couple more? Okay. A couple last questions for you.
Sure.
And you might not have much memory of this because I guess this was before, but you had Saint Elsewhere, you had Hotel,
Yeah.
Jessie, which was Lindsay Wagner, who I've always loved. Any recollection on any of those in particular?
I do. I'll give you a quick anecdote. So Jessie was a pilot. Lindsay Wagner played like an FBI negotiator.
Mhm.
And we shot in Tucson in the dead of summer. Don't know if you've ever been to Tucson in the dead of summer.
No, but I can imagine.
Holy crap.
Smoking hot.
It was really hot. And so I play the kid. Mom is outside crying. It's a scene. Dad is holding kid hostage with a shotgun. You'll never take me alive.
Wow.
Right? He's screaming out at Lindsay Wagner, and she's like, no, calm yourself. I might be paraphrasing a little here.
I know.
It's going to be okay. Just come out. I'll never do it. You know who played my dad? Jonathan Banks.
Really?
Jonathan Banks. Right?
Wow.
So I worked with him in that crazy episode of that show. And then obviously he would go on to other things as well.
Yeah, no
Including,
kidding.
So, Walter White's little buddy and his.
Right.
So that was Jessie. I don't think he got picked up, but either way, I just did an episode of that. Saint Elsewhere, I was in the first season. I worked with David Birney. I played his patient, who he became very attached to. It's very heartstringsy. Hey, it's okay. I came in, I think, busted my ankle in like a pee-wee football thing. And he becomes very attached to me, and he does surgery, and I died on the table. And it's very heart-wrenching, very sad. And that show only went 700 seasons, and I could never audition again because I died in the episode. So that was the end of that for auditioning.
He always seemed like a nice guy. I don't know if he was, but man, he sure seemed it.
I gotta tell you, in my career, the number of people that I worked with that I would say were not great.
Yeah.
So few.
Yeah.
Probably fewer than my other careers that I have had. And I help people with insurance. That's what I do as well, in addition to acting, which I'm still doing as well.
Yeah.
But even the people that like I didn't care for were just like, okay, we have a different acting style, or okay, that guy's just doesn't do it, or he doesn't like kids, or
right.
No one blatantly
mean. Yeah.
I never had that. I had a director I worked with that I probably could have done without, but wasn't a jerk. And to be honest with you, when I was a kid, they have a studio teacher / welfare worker on the set.
Yeah.
We always insisted that person was there, and that person acts as your advocate. So if somebody was not nice, I could go to them and be like, that guy's really kind of pushing, or whatever it is. They become the bad guy. Yeah. It's a wonderful system that when it works is perfection.
Right.
Or at least we always insisted on it. When I say we, my family.
Yeah.
But there was always somebody there, because especially as an actor, you don't want to be the bad guy ever.
Sure.
because
yeah.
then you'll never work again. So
You got it. It's exactly, yeah. welcome to
what was
business.
the other show?
Hotel.
Oh gosh. So Hotel, I did one really quick episode. I worked with a guy named Nathan Cook, who the only thing I ever saw him in afterwards, he has a very quick scene in the original Chevy Chase movie Vacation
Oh, wow.
as
one of my
one of the
favorites,
guys
by the
who
way.
sort of steals the hubcaps from the car.
Yeah.
And when I looked him up, because I end up IMDbing or Wikipedia, I go into these holes, I look him up. And he passed away many years ago of some like crazy allergy thing that happened. And I only
Wow.
worked with him for a few days, but like my episode was with him.
Oh
So
my God, how
yeah,
sad.
that's what
Yeah.
I remember there. Oh, and I remember Shari Belafonte
Oh, wow.
being on set, and even at my young 11, thinking she was absolutely stunning.
She was such a beautiful woman.
Things that you
Right.
remember, I was like, wow. she's-
I know. Was there, by the way, the only other thing, and then I'm gonna let you go, is when you were shooting Hogan Family, what other shows, what other actors were around on, on the other sets?
Okay, so we had a cool thing. So our executive producers were Tom Miller and Bob Boyette.
Oh, wow. Happy days.
I'm sure you're sure. If your watchers or listeners aren't sure who they are, Google them.
Oh,
I
please.
guarantee you've watched a ton of their stuff from
You got it.
days, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, Bosom Buddies.
There it goes. Yeah.
I mean, it just so they had 3 sound stages at the time on the Sony lot, again in Culver City. And it was us. And so in the middle of those 3 sound stages was sort of the big stage doors, so they could kind of do a triangle between the 3 sound stages.
Wow.
We were right next to Perfect Strangers,
Oh, cool.
Bronson Pinchot and Marklin Baker,
Yeah.
and a little show called Full House.
Oh, wow.
So we were there with them, and we all knew each other. And then at one point, Family Matters was a
Oh,
part.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean so after our show went off in like the early 90s, they ended up pretty much owning ABC's TGIF. All those shows that kind of look similar and feel similar.
Yeah.
Good. What I consider to be sort of starting to tail off on the tail end of what was the sitcom.
Yeah.
Where things are wrapped up typically in a pretty bow after 22 minutes. Rarely do, unless there's a cliffhanger, or a 2-parter. And largely those shows, people always wondered where they went. And then I had kids and realized they all went to Disney.
Yeah. Good
Nickelodeon,
point.
right?
Good point. Yep.
So that's what that evolution of the traditional sitcom. And then you get into things like the current quote sitcom ends up being, I use the example of like Modern Family,
Yeah.
where it's kind of a single handheld camera.
Right. Very different.
The evolution of what that looked like.
Did you hang out with like were you around like John Stamos or like the Olsen twins or was it more like hi, see him at the commissary?
Yeah, exactly. We see them and things like that, but not really a big hanging out kind of a thing. I mean, I knew those guys.
Yeah, sure.
But not very. We weren't intimately close.
Yeah.
Marklin Baker did a crossover episode on our show. We knew, I knew we played basketball, part of it was having a basketball hoop, so that we could get some of the energy out. And we would play basketball with a Julia White, and Prairie, and those guys and all. They're not serious, just get this.
Yeah,
get
just
this
having
right
fun.
out. We were teenage boys. If it wasn't going to come out there, it was going to come out somewhere evil. So it was better to go to a basketball game.
On a basketball court.
Right?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I told you I would get you out of here at
I
a
appreciate
proper
it.
time, but no, I totally appreciate that you came on. It's really been fun talking with you, and I mean I'm such a huge fan of that time, and the shows like the Hogan Family. I mean, come on. So no,
Okay.
I really appreciate it, and yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, and if you want to continue the conversation, we could certainly do this another time if your fans want me to come back or have questions or anything like that. Yeah, and if anybody has questions or whatever, I'm an old man. I'm on Facebook. So if you want to hit me up there, I'm very easy to hunt down over there.
Very cool. I'm glad that you said that because people
Yeah.
might ask in the comments and stuff like that. So good to know.
Absolutely. You know, I'm pretty approachable.
Okay. Well, thanks a
All right.
bunch, Jeremy. It's been a
Thank you.
total pleasure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You got it, bud.
Hope you enjoyed the interview. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button and also hit the notification bell right after that so that you get notified whenever I have a new episode. And be sure to check out some of my other interviews. Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers, Angela Cartwright, Shelley Fabre. It goes on and on. They're so great. Enjoy.